Bold. I like it. Speaking of Duke, Kansas, it was the best game of the tournament. Kansas beat Duke by a score of 85-81. It is so much nicer in this room right now because I turned on the air. Holy moly.
I cannot work in these conditions. Come on, Sean.
What'd you think of the game?
I don't think it helped Duke cause when Wendell Carter fouled out. I do think that and I'm going to call it controversial because it could have went either way. I don't know if you saw it, but it really, really looked like a charge.
It was close.
It was close. But you know what? It was a tough game for officiating to begin with, especially with that one. To me, it was close. I feel like if that charge, went Duke's way, Duke could have won. But it just comes down to Coach K was outcoached by Bill Self. And Kansas just pulled together as a team. They made the shots when they counted, and they overcame.
Malik Newman.
Oh, my God.
Had a performance for the ages. 32 points. The guy was amazing. Mikhailuk had a double-double. We hit on that earlier. You take a look at Devontae Graham. He had an off day for his standards, only 11 points. Lagerald Vick, someone I never heard of before, had 14 points.
Apparently, he's really, really good, too. My friend Jimmy, who I work with at my pizzeria, I made a bet with him because he knows what I do. He knows that I'm on the radio. And I said, you know what? If Duke wins, you got to come here wearing a Duke sweat because he hates Duke. I don't hate Kansas, but I was just such a Duke homer saying, oh, they're going to win. Obviously, I didn't believe it. Oh, they're going to win by 20. They're going to steamroll over them, which didn't happen. So he's like, all right, you know what? On Friday, when you do the radio and when you come into work, you got to be wearing Kansas something. So I'm like, okay, fine. So on Friday, you'll see me in a Kansas shirt.
Okay. Do you have a Kansas shirt?
I do have a Kansas shirt.
Why do you have a Kansas shirt?
I had a...
You had a Kansas phase?
Not really a Kansas phase. What I wanted to do was I wanted to get a shirt for every college that I applied to.
Oh, okay.
So
That's
I have Duke, Florida, honestly, Alabama, Georgia.
Wait, why did you apply to all those schools?
Because
you just applied to
I was shooting high. I was honestly shooting high, and I wanted to go somewhere where...
You should have applied to Brandeis.
No, thank you. And I wanted to apply somewhere where sports was like a complete, get-together, so I applied to, like, Syracuse also.
Yeah, I was just going to say Syracuse, the best to do it, baby.
Yeah, and I just, to be funny, I applied to Kansas.
No, that's fair. All right, on that note, let's take a quick break. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be talking baseball next. But first, I got to tell you about a great show that we have on this station. It's The Old Country Road on Sundays at 8 p.m., hosted by my pal Michael Anthony. It features classic country music along with interviews with legendary artists. We'll be talking baseball next on Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3. WHPC.
You use Tearless baby shampoo because it's gentle on your baby's eyes. You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You always test the bathwater to make sure it's not too hot. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You make sure she wears a helmet when she rides her bicycle. You put on his sunscreen, even when he's embarrassed his friends will see. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Is your child facing the right way in the car seat? Is the seat too big or too small? How do you know when it's time to move your child into the next type of seat? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat. That's safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Alexa, can you please do my food shopping today?
Food shopping today added to your shopping list.
Alexa, can you do my math homework for me?
I'm not sure.
Alexa, play WHPC.
Play WHPC.
Now listen to the voice of Nassau Community College on your Amazon Echo.
Simply say, Alexa, play WHPC.
I am already playing WHPC.
Sorry. So go ahead and buy a silicone steamer in the shape of a faceless melting pig.
Buy a silicone steamer in the shape of a faceless melting pig.
Yeah, that exists. And while you shop, play WHPC.
Or buy a headband with a mullet hair attached to it.
I refuse to buy a headband with mullet hair attached to it.
Yeah, that exists too. Not sure why. But when you buy it, you can play WHPC.
So play WHPC on your Amazon device today.
And thanks for listening to 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing, but not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. This breaks my heart, and it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and gives it to families in need. To help, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Jacob Volk. Jacob Volk.
This is a new one.
No, I played this one before.
Why don't I recognize it?
It's Phenomena.
Oh, wow.
It's just not the Muppets version because I couldn't find a good one.
Yeah, that's why it sounded different to
And
me.
I went with the studio version. You're listening to Beyond the Game on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. We are live twice a week, Tuesdays at 5 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. I am Jacob Volk. You can follow me on Twitter at RealJacobVolk. Sitting across from me, Eric Fischetti, who you can follow on Twitter at Sergeant Fish, and Joe Ardita, who you can follow on Twitter at JoeCoolNY. Number to call if you have something on your mind is 516-572-7440. And let's get to baseball. Before we preview the season, there were a few stories that caught my attention that I wanted to talk about. The Red Sox signed Christian Vasquez to a 3-year extension worth $13.55 million. Last year, he hit .290 with 5 home runs and 32 RBIs. What are your thoughts on the deal?
You know, I actually like Christian Vasquez. He basically spent, since he came up, his entire career with Boston and is projected to be the starting catcher ahead of Sandy Leone, but they're expected to split time. But Vasquez is a very good defensive catcher. He can throw out base runners. He basically threw it. I have it right here. He's thrown out 42 of 100 attempted base stealers in 211 career games. It's solid.
That's 42%. I mean, that's not bad.
It's really solid. It's probably one of the better ones. And he is actually, with those stats, the highest percentage of any catcher since 1987.
Wow.
I don't know if that's just Red Sox or general, but it was just eye-popping. I had to put that in there.
That is eye-popping.
And the deal, which actually includes a $7 million club option for 2022 and has $13.55 million in guaranteed money. I think it's a really solid deal for Boston. This guy's a very gritty player. He just needs to crack down at the plate a little bit more. But in terms of defensively, very solid.
You know, it's funny. Ever since Jason Varitek left, it feels like the Red Sox have had a black hole at catcher. Mm-hmm. They tried out Blake Sweetheart. He failed.
David Ross, too.
Yeah, David Ross.
And the guy with the really long name, if it started with the S.
Saltalamacchia.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, former Ranger.
I think he's on the Marlins now, I think.
Is he on the Marlins?
He was for a while. I don't know where he is now.
I feel very sorry for him if he's on the Marlins.
I feel sorry for Castro. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right. He wanted to be traded so badly.
Oh, we can't wait to get out of there.
And Real Muto, too. Another good catcher.
Why is he still there? I thought he was going to be one of the first names to go. Him and Justin Bour.
No, you're 100% right.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts.
Jeter doesn't know what he's doing, man. They have no plan. Did you see that Marlins man got into it with a few people on Twitter? Basically, what happened was Marlins man isn't going to renew his season tickets, and people got on him for it. But you know what? I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
Why would you want to give your money to this franchise that just pockets it?
I guess the only positive, and I'm going to say it's a positive, that you can probably see from the Marlins, yeah, you have a couple of good role players in like Starlin Castro, Real Muto, Justin Bour, solid first baseman. But the problem is there are just no names. There are no names down there. You don't have a Yelich. You don't have an Ozuna. You don't have a Stanton anymore.
Or a Gordon.
Yeah, a D. Gordon, too.
Like, they actually had a nice core of young players.
Did.
Like, we knew Stanton was going to walk eventually, so we knew he'd be out of the picture. But besides that, you know, you had Yelich and Ozuna. You had a really nice core. Like,
if they had spent the money on guys like Arrieta, Darvish, Cobb, Lynn, whoever, they could have been a decent team. They could have competed with the Nationals in the NL East.
I think they could have got a wild card spot. I don't think they would take the division, but
They could have competed.
Definitely.
They definitely could have competed with the Mets.
Well, the Mets are so overrated.
That's not saying much.
The Mets are so overrated this year. I've got people saying they're going to win the wild card. No, they're not. The Mets are not making the playoffs this year.
I really do think they're going to be better than we think, but we'll get to that.
All right, sounds good. The Phillies signed Scott Kingery to a 6-year deal worth $24 million. This is despite the fact that he's never played a game in the majors. Joe, what do you think of the deal?
So I found a great article on SB Nation, and it talked about why these deals will become more common in the near future. And to sum it up, Kingery and all of his contract has guaranteed money behind it. So all the money he's making, regardless of whether he gets injured or does anything stupid, he's going to get paid. And even though that may hold him back for a while longer until he can get that, Hollywood payday, so to say, it seems like players are okay with this because one injury or 1 year of really bad performance and you can find yourself without a job and less money than if you were to get offered that contract in the first place. Like, look at Mike Moustakas. He's an all-star. He broke the Royals single-season home run record, and he's now without a job because of a crumbling market.
Moustakas signed somewhere.
He did sign.
They re-signed Moustakas, actually.
Yeah.
1-year deal.
Okay, well, that was a mute point. But getting back to what I was saying is that you're seeing a lot of changes in the market, and I think the players are looking at a more safe than sorry scenario with these young players. And I feel like young players should be making more money because a lot of players who are in, towards the peak of their career are looking for a Hollywood blockbuster contract. And, if you get injured, then not much of that money will be guaranteed. Am I making sense right now?
I mean, we saw with Paul DeJong, we saw it. I think Evan Longoria did it too, right after his debut.
He was one of the first people to do it, yeah. And you had that guy on the Astros,
John Singleton.
Yeah. So
Matt Moore did it
exactly. And the article kind of described that Longoria was on one side of the spectrum, Singleton was on the other, and Matt Moore was in the middle based on their individual situations. So does that make sense? What I'm saying?
You're making a little sense. Here's the one thing I'll say. You're looking at it from a player's perspective. I'm going to look at it from a team perspective. And for the Phillies to give $24 million to someone who has never played a game in the majors is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what is going on in Philly. They're in this weird tweener mode where they're not trying to contend, but they are trying to contend. They signed Arrieta, they signed Santana, but they're not good enough to really compete. Now they're devoting a bunch of money to Scott Kingery, who really doesn't have a place in their lineup. He's a utility guy. Where's his spot? He's a born second baseman. They've got Cesar Hernandez. Where's he going to play?
That's the thing. I have no idea what's going on with this deal, but apparently they must think very highly of him, and baseball did at 1.2. He was the number 31 prospect out of 100. High praise, but again, this deal just... It doesn't make sense to me. He hasn't played a game yet, as we mentioned. There's been but again,
he's had a good spring training in his defense, and
he did have a good spring
training.
And
he had good stats in the minors too. He was ripping it up, but that doesn't necessarily mean that before opening day you're going to give him $25 million, which is the point that I was going to get to.
The guy's also not going to have a regular spot in the lineup,
unless Cesar Hernandez is going to be like a trade chip.
Oh my God, I wouldn't want to trade him. Hernandez is a good player.
I know, but that's the thing. Now you got potentially two good players at second base. Now you got a logjam. What are you going to do? You already devoted a bunch of money to this kid that's never played a game yet.
I don't understand why you wouldn't have sent Kingery down to the minors and try to work something out for no other reason than service time. Keep the guy around.
And what most clubs do, they wait to bring out a guy, but like after opening day, he'll have the first couple of weeks of the season
Chris
come
Bryant.
out. And yeah, so you see it all the time with rookies so that they can have an extra year of control. And the Phillies went in the complete opposite direction by doing this and giving a guy basically $25 million, all guaranteed.
Yeah, I don't like when teams do that, but I do understand it. I think the Braves are doing it with Ronald Acuna, but
I think he just declined an extension, by the way, from the Braves.
Did he really?
I think it was like $30 million or something.
Guys, sign me up. I've never played a game in the majors before. I'll sign a $24 million contract.
They think this kid is like the next big thing, honestly.
I like Kingery. Don't get me wrong, but $24 million for someone who's never played a game in the majors before? I don't care if it's Gleyber Torres. I wouldn't do it.
You just gotta hope this doesn't blow up back in your face.
And it happened with the Astros. It blew up in the Astros' face. It blew up in their face tremendously. John Singleton was a horrible bust. Gee whiz, what is going on in Philly?
I mean, I guess...
And they're not trading Nick Foles either. Something's in the water there. Chris Carlin was right to leave.
No, but I guess like the only thing that worked in terms of this strategy was Longoria. But even then, like he's still not with the team anymore. Granted, the Tampa Bay Rays are kind of like in purgatory right now because like they were good,
They should
but they're
trade
not.
Colomé.